at this very location. Simran.
Brian, in fact, stay on with us as we are also expecting the arrival of the final journey and the mortal remains of Dr. Singh as it has departed from the Congress headquarters and now in the final leg of the journey that's coming to an end. A most enriching leader and, in fact, a noted integrity of a politician and an economist that Dr. Singh was. Well, on that note, joining me live on the broadcast is Advocate Manasvi Thapar. Ms. Manasvi, in fact, this is a very emotional time for the nation. For the nation collectively from the political spectrum. It is a very emotional, nostalgic time. It gives us a sense of reflecting how a person can, of this demeanor, can be a politician, but also not the typical kind of a politician, but having the learnings that can be useful for every person. The kind of a reputation that Dr. Singh has earned is also giving him, in fact, the ground at this point of time that the entire world is echoing and recalling the contributions that have been made. He often was accused during his time for not speaking enough, but today we are remembering that how, while also not speaking much, he has done a lot. Ms. Thapar.
Simran, so what we have to understand is, like the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, there cannot be like any other person. So it's not about India mourning; it's about the world is mourning on his demise, and he was one of the greatest leaders the country had seen. Uh, uh, we would say that he was not a person who's very vocal, but his actions spoke for himself, and he brought India in the forefront of other countries. While the Great Depression was there in 2008, where the world was struggling, he made sure that India didn't struggle. His economic contribution is worldwide known. He's a renowned economist, a philosopher. I would not categorize him into the political category of our country. He was a prime minister who was not vocal, but made sure that his voice, his contribution was very well heard, and he was there for the last person of the country. So that's the kind of contribution, and that is why we'll see that across political lines, people are paying respect to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and people have now started realizing his contribution. While he was the Prime Minister at that particular time, it was a very it was a notion that he should speak up, he should be there, he should give back to his criticism. He never did that. While in the parliament also, he was mocked. He did not give back. Even today, while people are paying respect, there are people who are trolling him. There are memes about him, but that's not kind of a political person he was. He was much over and above that. He was not into that trolling culture, criticism culture. He was not into that meme culture of that politician. That kind of breed is no more there. That you don't give back. You just
Exactly.
give back to the society. You don't give back to your criticism. You do the best work what you can do with your abilities. That is what Manmohan Singh is all about. And it's a sad day for our country that such an economist, such a path-breaking person has gone from our country. And the more we give respect to him is less. The country should have given him more respect, which he deserved. So that's a lacking which our country had. But I think with he also made that statement that history will be kinder to me. But I think that's a realization which we all are realizing since yesterday. So that is going to be the reality of the future of our country, that we would every movement of every economic movement in our country, we'll realize his contribution sooner or later.
Well, in fact, as we speak in the words of Dr. Singh only, that history will be kind to him, and history is indeed very kind to him at this point of time, will be also with the consideration of the kind of contributions. There was a time when there was not enough emphasis on how significant these reforms, steps, ideology, demeanor, and the kind of elegance that was in his political maturity. But now we understand, in fact, and the world collectively looks at his time being spent as a noted economist, a very fine politician who spearheaded the growth of India through the times of extreme crisis and distress. On that note, also joining me live is Dr. Sunny Dhiman, who's a Congress leader. Appreciate you joining me live as we are all watching the live visuals, and this is a very nostalgic time. not just for the Congress party, for the nation. We are all living through the lens of watching the history of Dr. Manmohan Singh's life, and there have been innumerous times when his kind of political achievement, the compulsions that he had to undergo as a politician within the Congress party were embroiled in a controversy. And now the Congress party stands together to bid him a farewell. Mr. Dhiman, how do you look at this entire legacy, the era of Dr. Singh now coming to an end?
It's an unfortunate demise of a giant in Indian politics. And uh, I would love to say that there is a saying in Sanskrit, but I'm translating that गडरियों के देश में पारस मणि को कौड़ियों के भाव बेच देते हैं. And this is the situation of our country, unfortunately, that such a giant, when he was the Prime Minister of India after Prime Minister Nehru, he was the first one to complete the 10-year tenure. He was not just demeaned, but uh, by the corporate media, but also the opposition in the same breath. And but he was such a statesman that he never tried to curtail the media. He always had press conferences, and we are still waiting to have a press conference by the Prime Minister office. And you can see the changes in India that uh, his time was an era when media was there to criticize the government, and that is a duty of the media. But now, unfortunately, it is the media which is the lapdog of the people sitting in the government. And yesterday, the people were saying that there's a controversy. They were creating controversy after the demise of such big person that Rahul Gandhi ji has toned down that ordinance, and they were trying to create a controversy over the death of this person. But I would love to remind that Mr. Singh, Dr. Singh, was a person who was a statesman, and as a statesman he was of the responsibility of running a coalition government, whereas Mr. Gandhi was a person, and he is a person who's a warrior who has zero tolerance towards corruption. And see, because of the Rahul Gandhi stand, he became the first victim when his membership of parliament got, quashed last year, and which later on reinstated by the Supreme Court. So I see that there is a big gap, and unfortunately when people leave us, then we see the brighter sides of them. But history will be kinder, but I don't know which history you're talking about. The history in which the chief minister of a state was admonishing a prime minister about the economic policy, and see the condition of this country now. The small and medium enterprises, they are kind of ruined in parliament after the note bandi. If you remember, it was organized plunder. And you see the condition of Indian economy. It's a jobless economy. The growth rate is down, and
Mr. Devan,
now we have
this is in
nobody to
fact
look.
not the time we are indulging into the kind of politics for talking about how the economy is right now than what it was. That's a totally different discussion that we can take at some other time. But at the very same time, we are only focusing and putting emphasis on the contributions. The contributions being put in spotlight right now reflect the learnings, the kind of decisions and the kind of reforms that we still need to look at. It is not only for, in fact, the time that politics did, of course, used to happen and how different it is. All right, I'll request you to kindly stay on with me on the broadcast.